Hello and happy December 18. I got this new Christmas book. It's called Christmas Gifts True Stories to Celebrate the Season, and I thought I would read a few of those this Christmas as I have time. So, the first one in the book is called The Spirit of Christmas, and it's from Blanche Yates. Esther dried a plate absent mindedly as she gazed out her mother's kitchen window. Shadows lengthened on the snow. Tonight is Christmas Eve, she thought. Her husband Art and her brother Fred would soon be home with their paychecks. Finally, she and Art would be able to go to the store and get some much needed groceries and a few presents for their 3-year-old daughter, Donna. Things had been tough that year. The Great Depression was in full swing. Esther worked hard to make sure they had food on the table and proper clothes to wear. She grew a big garden and picked and canned hundreds of quarts of vegetables and fruits. They had a few chickens, and Art got wild game when he could. Esther was a good seamstress and was able to make over old clothes for them to wear. Art desperately tried to get a job, but with so many people out of work in 1934, no jobs were available. So when Art excitedly told her that he and Fred had finally found employment cutting trees, Esther had been thrilled. He said that he'd get their first paycheck on Christmas Eve. That morning on his way to work, Art dropped Esther and Donna off at Esther's mother's house. After work, Donna could stay with her grandma while Art and Esther headed to Norwich, 30 miles away, to shop. They needed so many things food staples and household items Esther couldn't make herself. And on Christmas Eve, all the stores stayed open until midnight. She hummed happily as she thought of what they could buy with the $10 that Art would bring home. Fred and his wife Jean and their children were in the same situation. They were also running out of supplies. Esther knew they'd be heading into town tonight after Fred received his pay. Jean was angry with Esther and Art at the moment, and she wasn't speaking to them. Esther hated having such a rift between their families. She and Fred had always been close. Esther didn't like quarreling and had repeatedly tried to heal the hurt between them, but Jean would have none of it. Suddenly, Esther's mother shouted, "Art's here!" Esther rushed out the front door without bothering to put on her coat. As Art climbed out of the car, she flew into his arms. He held her tight, but she could tell something was wrong. She pulled away from him and searched his face. "Art, what's going on?" "Honey," he hesitated, his shoulders sagging. "They didn't pay us." "What?" Esther cried. "But they promised to pay you today, Art. We're almost out of kerosene for the lamps, and we need so many groceries, and we don't have any gifts for Donna. What will we do?" "It's going to be okay, Esther. God knows our needs." Art tried to take her into his arms again, but she pulled back. "It's not okay, Art. What are we going to do for Christmas?" Art sighed. "You'd better get your coat and the baby, and we'll head home." Esther took a deep breath and wiped her eyes as she headed toward the house. She didn't want her mother to see how upset she was. "Donna, it's time to go. Put away your toys." She tried to make her voice sound cheery as she reached for her coat. "What?" her mother interrupted. "I thought you were going to leave Donna here while you went shopping." "No, Ma," Esther said in a dull voice. "Art and Fred didn't get paid today." She started to turn away to hide her tears. "Oh, Esther, I'm so sorry," her mother said, putting her arm around Esther's shoulders. "Wait, I've got $10 from selling eggs that I've been saving. You can have that." Esther shook her head. "No, Ma, we couldn't take your egg money. It would be a loan. You can pay me back when Art gets paid." "Really, Ma? Could we?" "You can pay me back. Wait, really, Ma? Could we? Would it be okay if we share it with Fred and Jean?" "Of course," her mother laughed as she went into the bedroom to get the cash. Esther accepted the money with great thankfulness, gave Donna a quick hug, and headed out the door. Art, look," she cried. "Ma loaned us $10. "Are you serious?" he asked in disbelief. "Let's go get Fred and Jean and head for the stores," Esther bubbled. Quickly, they drove to the small bungalow where Fred and his family lived. Esther hopped out of the car and ran toward the house. Pounding on the door, she shouted, "Fred! Jean! Open up!" As Jean opened the door and saw Esther, a look of anger crossed her tear-streaked face. She started to shut the door, but Esther cried, "Wait, Jean, wait! Ma loaned us $10 until we get paid. You and Fred can have half. Come to Norwich with us." It took Jean a minute to comprehend what Esther was saying. "Really? Can we?" An incredulous smile replaced her frown as she turned and called, "Fred, get your coat. We're going shopping. Jean ran next door to get the neighborhood. Jean ran next door to get the neighbor to babysit their children, and then the couple piled into the back seat of Fred's car. Fred began to sing Christmas carols, and they all joined in. Art laughed. We won't get there any faster, Esther, but by you pushing your feet on the floorboards. She realized she had been using her right foot to press an invisible gas pedal to speed them along. The excitement continued as they shopped. Flour, sugar, kerosene, a new sled for Donna, and even some oranges and nuts for Christmas dinner filled the trunk of the car. Laughter and songs ran throughout the night on their way home. Rang. Whew, I'm having problems. Laughter and songs rang throughout the night on their way home. Fred and Jean headed toward their door with arms full of packages. Suddenly, Jean paused and turned around. Merry Christmas, Art and Esther, she shouted, and thanks so much. We love you. The spirit of Christmas, the spirit of love and giving, had finally healed the rift. I love it. That is what Christmas is about, the spirit of love and giving. Have a great day.